So thank you for joining the Citrus Educational Conference. I am Mary Sutton, the Citrus Extension Specialist with the University of Georgia, and I'll be moderating this session this afternoon. I'd like to thank SQM for sponsoring the 2025 Citrus Educational Conference. And with that, we will move on to our first speaker for the afternoon, Mohammed.
Thank you very much. My name is Mohammed Shahid, and it's my second year. I'm here going to talk about on the use of silicon. So it's one of my favorite research component in my research program, and I'm the fruit physiologist by training, working on the cold hardy citrus, persimmons, pecans. We have started some work on the raspberries, blackberries. So that's because I'm stationed in north side of the Florida, and my office is just 1 mile away from Georgia. So I consider I'm working in Georgia climate with the different clay soils and the same climate. The silicon, it's been second year we are working. The major component is to see the effect of silicon on the cold tolerance that we are working with, and how its effect overall on growth and fruit quality. So in today's talk, I will give you the brief introduction about silicon and its benefits, what are different sources of silicon, fertilizers are used, and some ongoing research trials and the results. Can you hear me well? I am very fast speaking with the accent, so try to speak slow. This is a big challenge for me. Okay, Lauren, thank you. That's the one of them, only one comment every time, slow, Muhammad slow. So I'm trying to speak slow. It's not a new. Silicon is already available in the, after oxygen, it's the second most abundant element on the earth crust with 25.7% silicon. But that silicon is a silicon dioxide. So when we talk about for the plants, we are talking about the source of silicon. That's a monosalicylic acid, because this is the only form which plants can uptake and then translocate to the other plant parts. If you're gonna apply the silicon dioxide, that's not the form which plant can uptake. Yes, plants uptake in the form of monosalicylic acid, which is the water-soluble form of silicon, then accumulate it as a silicon dioxide in different plant parts. So there are two terms are used, silicon and silicon. So now sometimes growers call me, Muhammad, can we use the silicon? So I said, no, don't seize the leaves, because you are not going to seize the stomata. So basically that's the common like adhesive you used and you can get from Home Depot and Walmart as a sealant. Never use that one. And we are talking about silicon and the monosalicylic acid. So silicon concentration, plants accumulate, plants uptake if it's available in the form of monosalicylic acid, and they accumulate in different plant parts, in the roots, in the leaves, around the cell walls. That's one of the silicon accumulating sites. And mainly it's more in the monocots as compared to the dicots. And one thing, silicon is not an essential element. Like it's, if you will skip it, it's not going to be impact the vegetative growth or reproductive growth. Like the difference mean essential and beneficial mean essential, like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. If you will remove it from your nutrition program, your plants will not be properly complete the life cycle, vegetative growth or reproductive growth. But the silicon, if you will add it, it will enhance. It's kind of the vitamin for the plants and regulate different multi-dimensional functions within the plant. So before 2012, it was not registered as a plant beneficial element, and that's why it was not marketed directly as a plant nutrient. But in 2012, first time, the Association of American Plant Food Control Officials, they approve it as a plant beneficial element. And that's the reason after that, thousands of products about silicon fertilizer, silicon biostimulant, in different brand names, they emerge in the market. And some products, they are also approved by OMRI, Organic Research, Organic Material Review Institute. They can be used in the organic production. Why we should use silicon? It is, as I said, it is a multi-dimensional element. It regulates photosynthetic activities, improve the chlorophyll contents, enhance the formation of different biosynthesis of different plant phytohormones within the plants, and that's the reason if we are applying continuously, you will have the better food quality, better produce, better plant growth, root formation. So when you will see the literature, it looks like it is the silver bullet, like it is the solution of everything. So basically these are the research. That's the reason sometimes growers ask me the question, Mohammed, when you gave the talk, you gave us a lot of benefits about silicon. Why it is not the well adopted? The reason most of the research which has been done on silicon, it's only on the researcher side. Mohammed did small experiment in the few pots, published the paper and done. No one has actually tried to bring this element in the field, because this is the most important. And sometimes we are the scientists and we are more like little bit greedy to more published side. And once the paper is done, we say, okay, move to the next paper. So being to the agriculture family, we are the fourth generation from Pakistan. I belong to agriculture family and fourth generation growing the citrus. And that's why I always try to follow the issue-oriented research. And most of my field trials are on farm, because what you will see on the grower side, that's actually instead of what I will see in the research farm or in the greenhouse. So that's the reason I started to see the effect of the silicon on the on-farm trials, and so far we have seen the very good results. Just some overall benefits. It's very effective to improve the shelf life. It enhances it reduces increase the fruit firmness. It is also helpful like in a stone fruit in peaches to reduce the cracking. It also enhances reduces the deterioration of the food in the shelf life. I will show you some results in citrus under during the post-harvest studies. We have received very good results. This is a small study in which the plants, the blueberry fruits harvested from the plant treated with silicon and without silicon, and put them in the cold storage for 1 month, and you can see the differences. There is a silicon treated plants, they maintain the proper fruit size, less reduction in the fruit weight, and less shrinkage. And I'm not a post-harvest person. Angelos is here, he can better understand the terminology, but overall the fruits maintain the longer shelf life under the controlled temperatures. The same way in the grapes basically when you harvest the grapes and put in the market, the greenness of the stalks is more important. Once it's dry, it becomes separated. So when you apply the silicon, it keeps them green longer and keep them intact with the bunch. And it's a very good research. Actually 2 years back, one of the California major grape producer in the Fresno, he started working with me, and he grew about 8,000 acres of the grapes, and he's very much impressed. Actually, he's sending me I set up trial with him, and he's sending me the yield data. But overall, he said, Mohammed, it's a big difference. Reducing the overall powdery downy mildew attack is very less, and he also feels that the especially marketable yield is improved. It is also effective in improving the heat tolerance. We are working on the silicon on blackberry, because that's the issue we are facing in Florida, and we are getting some red droplets and white droplets. So hopefully next year we will have the data to present. So this is the work I have done during my postdoc at Cornell University, because on the petunia is one of the attractive ornamental plants selling brand. So we export the treated one and the non-treated. You can see this is the silicon treated and non-treated. Expose them to 95 Fahrenheit, and the difference is in front of you. Then we put them extreme temperature, although both non-silicon treated and non-silicon treated affected, but when we put them under the control condition, water them, it recover 100% back instead of the non-silicon treated. This project was funded by the greenhouse industry of New England region before coming to University of Florida in 2019 to 2022. I was in the University of New Hampshire. So there was a great interest and in the silicon, because they are already using in ornamental and greenhouse production. They are using silicon for powdery and downy mildew control. And I set up this trial, so just gave you some about the production. So head size is about 20 to 25% improved. If you will see, these we use 3 varieties, and this is the control, and you can compare the head size with the different. We use 25 parts per million foliar and the root application and combination of both. So overall, regarding the silicon application, because this session is citrus, which method is more important in the plant? Silicon is really very, I will say, strange. Even though in the lettuce we have seen that in some varieties foliar application give the better results, and in some varieties combination like foliar and the nutrient application. So that's one of the question we are working with to see what are the physiological basis and molecular basis behind this, and especially if overall, if you will ask me as for the perennial trees or fruit trees, which method is better, I will say the hybrid application. Foliar and the root application, you will be getting the better results, because most of our trees, the fruit trees, they are silicon non-accumulators. So if you will talk about regarding silicon, there are 2 groups of plants: silicon accumulators, silicon non-accumulators. So silicon accumulators include the wheat, rice, bamboos, grasses, sugarcane. So these are which have the grasses. Basically, the grasses group, they have the high silicon uptake capacity, and for these type of accumulator, even though higher doses but low frequency, because they can uptake maximum amount. But non-accumulator, you have to be applied low frequency, low dose, but more frequently. So then they will be more benefited with silicon. Another interesting thing we observed in this study, it is a very common problem, necrosis and tip burn in lettuce, especially when head become dense, the movement of air is reduced and uptake of potassium, calcium is reduced, and this order emerged like a burning symptoms. In silicon treated one, in all the 3 varieties, we did not see any significant symptoms of tip burn using the silicon. We also did some study on the drought. That's, as I said, it is an industry-funded project, and you can see that we use different levels: 50 parts per million foliar application, root application, and 25 parts per million for 50 parts per million. Overall, this is a control. You can see that just after 7 days, plants are dead. But when we applied both foliar and root application, the plants are still green. You will not see any wilting symptom. In case of 50 and 25, there is a wilting symptom, but when plants were rewatered, they recovered back 100%, but control could not make it back. Similar results in the Petunia impatiens. The reason why they funded this project, because this is the project we worked with the Pleasant View Gardens. If you buy the ornamental, you will see the written PW on the pots. They are one of the leading ornamental producers, and they ship the plants throughout the country, including Mexico and Canada, and they have the issues of watering and drought. When they ship the plants, go to the Home Depot or Tractor Supply, they are where they are not well watered, and so they want to try if they can incorporate slow release silicon in the pots and enhance the drought tolerance. So what was happening basically, so we removed the plants out of pots, and you can see the difference. This is the first row is the control, and you can see the root formation. So silicon is very effective to increase the root formation, and the root volume is enhanced. And it's one kind of the supportive mechanism to more nutrient uptake, more water uptake. We also did some work for them, the lodging, as I said, because it accumulates around the cell walls, make them more straight and turgid. So here you see in these without silicon, the diameter of the base is increased about 15 to 20%, plus the plants are more green and stalks are more longer. And the reason behind that, this is the way. All this is a electron microscopy image. So all the red dots you will see, it is the silicon particles. The way it make the layer around the cell walls make them more turgid, and that's the reason a lot of the rice growers and sugarcane growers are more using the silicon because they want to reduce the lodging. So this is one kind of mechanism and very good results in the cut flower production. So it is very effective in disease management because when you apply the silicon, it also provides the physical barrier, make a layer around the leaves and prevent the entry of the pathogen inside the leaf cells. And other thing, it also enhances some biochemical compounds, which are the kind of the defensive mechanism of the plants, and they support the defensive mechanism of plants. So this is the example of citrus leaf, with silicon treated and non-silicon treated. With the human eye, you will not see that kind of layer, but under the microscope, you can see that this is all these white dots is make the silica bilayer, which is act as one kind of the physical barrier for the insect pest. There are different diseases in citrus, in lemon and banana. Like silicon is very effective in avocado and a lot more other. You will see this just an example. So one thing that overall, I'm not a pathologist, but overall the literature and what we have observed. So silicon is not a kind of element that you will apply one time, like today, and after a week you will see the results. No, it's not like that. You have to build up a level of silicon in the tissues, and then you will be getting up the beneficial effects. So the continuous supply of silicon, if you are adding it continuously, low, even though 25 parts per million or 20 parts per million, you will be getting the better results. And there are the growers who started 2 years back, and one of them is here. I was just speaking to them. So they are, and in Florida, some of our progressive growers they are using, and they said, yes, we have seen the clear results. There is more leaf greenness. There is a better fruit firmness, uniform fruit size. So that's the reason, like if you want to be especially for disease control, so it's not like don't take it as a pesticide or fungicide. It's just give you the additional benefits, and you have to be, it doesn't mean you're going to skip your fungicide. Yes, you can mix with that and reduce the concentration, but it's not like that 100% it's going to be controlled. Insect pest management, I'm very much interested, especially I want to see in relation to the leaf miner and Asian sealer. And I have raised some plants for Lauren, and that's I want to, she is our pathologist at citrus research, entomologist, I'm sorry. She is our entomologist working on Research and Education Center, Lake Alfred. So I have raised some plants for her, and they are full with, we have treating them with silicon more than 6 months, and they are ready to ship to you. We are thinking to expose them to the insects and see their behavior, because some research I will show you has been done in Colombia, and they have they got a very good results in which they see that the Asian sealer population has been reduced in silicon treated plants. So this is the way, like these are all white dots. You will see different parts of the stem and the leaves that it is accumulated around in the tissues, and that's the reason it serve as a barrier to the mouth parts of them. They cannot properly eat it, or it causes the damaging effect to their mouth parts. This is very interesting results, the study, and they've treated the plants with the silicon. The first one, no silicon, control plants. Moderate level, very low level, medium level, and high level. And then they expose the grasshopper to eat these plants, and you can see the differences. The mouth parts in the higher one, it's almost damaged. So when they eat, because it creates a silica layer, and when they eat that one, it causes a damaging effect onto their mouth parts. So this is, you can see the differences. On the medium one, not a big difference. But here in the moderate and the high level of silicon, you can see their mouth parts are, it's a teeth, right? It's,
well, not exactly teeth,
yeah.
but, you know.
Mandible, like, yeah. So I will see the eating mouth parts. So, yeah. So that's the research I just referenced. So it's done in Colombia. They apply the silicon to the citrus plants. foliar soil and foliar application. So they have observed that the egg laying is also, this is the control one, and these are the different soil and foliar. Overall, they have observed that the soil and foliar application is more effective in reducing the egg laying capacity, the number of eggs per flesh per shoot. The same way, the number of nymphs has been reduced, especially in case of soil hybrid application. And the number of adults are also reduced, especially at when the data collected are 3 weeks after application. That's actually I want to be collaborate with Lauren and to see how it's going to happen in ACP in this citrus greening scenario. So there are different sources of silicon fertilizers are used. The volastonide, which is naturally occurring, calcium silicate, tough byproducts, different silicates. Biochar is also a source of biochar is basically the plant material is burned under high pressure in the absence of oxygen, which is also the source of silicon compost. The new advanced silicon fertilizer are silicon nanoparticles. These are very small size particles, about 10 to 30 nanometer, very reactive, more easily absorbed by the plants, and diatomaceous earth. So one thing is very important. It's not all about the percentage of silicon. You will see the lot of the products. They will say 50% silicon. This is not the thing we are looking for. We are looking for what is the percentage of water soluble silicon, which is the monosalicylic acid. If I will go to the beach, take the sand, I will say that 90% silicon, and I can sell it. Plants cannot uptake it. We are looking for, even though it's 4%, but it's a monosalicylic acid, water-soluble form, that's the product we have to be used, not the silicon dioxide. Different factors, they affect the silicon uptake. Most of the soil, we don't have any optimum amount of silicon, especially in sandy soils. We have silicon dioxide that's not plant can uptake. So there's no plant available silicon. Plant type is different. As I said, its behavior is different. Even though in citrus we have observed in 2 rootstocks, the root application gives the better response versus the other roots of foliar application. And silicon type, how much percentage is of water soluble is in the solution, and the application method. So for fruit trees, so far that what we have learned, both foliar and root application, you will be getting the better results. So there are different rates. Not journal. One thing about silicon, there is not a phytotoxic effects. We have tried higher concentration going up to the 1500 parts per million. We did not see any phytotoxic effects. So that's good thing. It is not a phytotoxic to the plants. And but if you are using, it's better to run a small test. If you are going to use the foliar application, 50 to 100 parts per million is the good safe level. Fertigation 50 parts per million. If you are growing the cuttings or you want to mist your plants, young plants 25 to 50 parts per million. Soil amendments depending upon the pH of your soil, because mostly when you add the silicon, you will have the raise in your pH. So 1 to 6 ton per acre. Normally, especially in New Jersey side, Maryland side, the growers are using in the radish, carrot, and especially the cucurbits production. And they use the diatomaceous earth and they use the powder. And if you are using soilless substrate, then make sure your substrate should have 25 to 35 parts per million of water-soluble silicon. And in citrus, in the 2 years trial, so far we have observed 100 parts per million, and after every 4 weeks, you will be getting the good results. At least you will see the response. Hundreds of products I shared available. If you will Google it, it's just an example. But the problem is that we are looking for water-soluble silicon. We are looking for monosalicylic acid. We are not looking for silicon dioxide. Never go for SiO2 percentage. So we have to do H2SO4, the monosalicylic acid percentage. So these are I will show you some trial we have started at North Florida Research and Education Center. And we are more working with the freeze tolerance in citrus, and particularly my position was hired to work on cold hardy citrus, to how we can grow the citrus in these unexpected freeze events. So everybody knows, that we had a very worse freeze events. Still, if the freeze is coming, but in 2022, after 40 years, we had the very 5 consecutive days below freezing, and we lost about 95% production in the north and Florida and south of Georgia. So we started this trial. It's the on-farm trial. We have 4 big farms who are the partners and working with us. 3 treatments, 50 parts per million, 100 parts. We are applying bi-weekly and monthly application. Before going to the field, we optimize our levels under the controlled freezing chambers. We have the walk-in freezing chambers where we can get the same temperature in the same model what's happening in North Florida. We program them and treat the plants and expose them, and then shortlist which one is the best level we are getting for improving the freeze tolerance or cold hardiness. So here you can see that the plants were treated with 100 parts per million. No silicon after 48 hours of freezing and -6 Celsius. The leaves are almost dead, wilted, but with silicon you can see that they are turgid and not the big freeze damage to the plants. Here you can see that the patches we call it water-soaked patches. It happened when plants exposed or experience the freeze damage. The water inside the cells, it become the ice crystals. It pull the cell walls and break them, and this water-soaked condition appears. So this is the main symptoms. If you will see that water-soaking condition, it means your plants are getting a really bad freeze damage, and these leaves are not coming back. They will die. It's the first indication of cell death. And in the silicon treated, you will not see any water soaking conditions. So the main reason, in simple grower language, I will say silicon act as an antifreeze. So the mechanism is very simple. What we are working on growth regulators. We are working on steroid, jasmonic acid, silicon. The main program is that how we can reduce the freezing temperature of the water in the cell. Because once the water inside the cell is freezes, the crystals kill the cell walls, and then its cell is gone. So this is we are trying the best antifreeze for the plants. If we know that freeze is coming, we can apply to the plants and we can protect the formation of the ice crystals within the cells. So this is the way you can see that when the different examples, when before freezing and after freezing. Basically, you can see this is the internal intercellular spaces. When the crystals are formed, it push the cell walls away, and it's in the flower buds. This is just an example how freezing caused damage. These are the cells before freezing, and when freeze occurs, the crystals damage the cell wall. You can see that. This is the condition due to which you will see the water-soaked condition and the cell death caused, because they just damage all the cell walls, and then you will have a flooding condition throughout the cytoplasm and then water-soaking conditions. So these are the picture of different our ongoing sites, and I already showed you. This is 2022 pictures when first time freeze events came. Without freezing, plants are almost dead, and with silicon treated plants are doing very good. Not much of the fruit drop, leaf drop, and still this plot is doing very well. And this year we will be getting the yield data from this site. So, and one thing we also have observed that after the 2022 freeze events, we removed a lot of the wood from the trees because due to freeze damage, up to some varieties we removed the 60-70% dead wood. In silicon treated plants, we removed the maximum up to 10% wood from the trees. And another interesting thing we observed that although both non-treated and treated came back in 2023, but we did not see any fruits in the non-treated one. But in the treated one, it was only even though 15 to 20%, but fruit was there. So it means that it is also helping to getting the fruits on the trees, and that's now we reflecting it this year. There is increase in the number of fruits per tree and better quality and uniform size. And we are also observed that not a big but difference in the fruit color we also observed this year. basically, what makes, when we did some biochemical analysis of the trees treated with the silicon and non-silicon, actually what's the mechanism? So basically we observed that the proline and glycine betaine, these are basically osmolytes. These are the antifreeze within the plants which protect the formation of the ice crystal. So you can see that non-silicon and silicon treated, there's a big difference. So that's basically silicon is, if when sometime growers ask me what's the reason, so basically that's the reason. So it is enhancing these some osmolytes or other polyamines which prevent the formation of ice crystals, and then that's the reason we see the less damage and plants are doing well under the freeze conditions. So the same way we have electrolyte leakage, which is the indicator of cell damage under the freeze or any kind of stress. You can see that it is about 79% and it is 17% in silicon treated one. And the same way photosynthetic activity, it is higher, it is more in the silicon treated plants. So now coming to the some insect pest and leaf miner. So when my people, I'm not an entomologist, but whenever my people are going to the field, every time I ask, like I missed the name. So 1 hour the grower are using, he called me, I ask a question, any observation? So they tell me, okay, we observe this, we observe this, we observe fruit firmness. And Shahid is here, my postdoc, who is working on this project. So he said, one thing I observed that there is a less insect attack over there and less leaf miner. So then I immediately sent an email to Lauren. Lauren sent us the protocol, and based on that protocol, we got some data. And you can see that there is not much of the leaf miner attack, like a leaf miner find the mines and more leaf curling. We did not see that in the silicon treated one. And based on the protocol Lauren gave us, we collected some data. You can see that the number of larvae that we counted, non-silicon and silicon treated, and it's different times we collected it. So, and this year we will have the whole more data on that. So we have really see the big difference in that, like it's working. And that's why I'm thinking that maybe we should also go to the mites and something like that. We can also get some data on that too. So we also were interested actually what's happening on the fruit quality. Okay, freeze tolerance is improved. We are seeing the good results. And we did some analysis on this is my postdoc who's working on the fruit quality, fruit firmness, shelf life, fruit drop. Yes, one thing we have also observed, and if some of you is growing tango, in tango is what I have observed in North Florida, when the freeze temperature falls below freezing, in tango there's a lot of fruit drop. So that we have observed, and in the silicon treatments, it has been reduced. There is a less fruit and flower drop in tango using the silicon. So these trials, this work has been done in Tifton in collaboration with the Angelos. He's our post-harvest collaborator and in the University of Georgia. So this is always a problem. We cannot, I don't know why it did not show the bars. So I will just tell you in the words so you can believe my words. The fruit firmness is basically with the passage of time, we put the fruit under his facility, and we were collecting the data on the fruit firmness from 0, 7, 14, and 21 days. And in silicon-treated plants, the reduction in the reduction in the fruit firmness, it was less as compared to the non-silicon-treated one. And the same thing, the loss of the fruit weight, and with the passage of time, it was reduced. It was less reduction in the fruit weight as compared to the non-silicon-treated one. So this is just a recent picture. And what is happening right now, I don't know, it's the same in South Florida, South Georgia. In North Florida, we are getting the freezing nights. Its temperature is falling below 25, and it is very killing for young trees. So we harvested the fruits after the freeze and cut them. The right side is non-silicon treated, and this is silicon treated. You can see this is the freezing. The vesicles are freezing and dry vesicles, and plus if you will smell the fruits, you will see something deteriorating. It's not smell well. So, and this one we didn't. Still, you will not see any freezing of the vesicles. The color is good as compared to where the color is going lighter. And I don't know what's the reason, but it's a big difference in quality, using silicon and without silicon. So at the end, the take-home message, I have shown you the lot of the things, but still we are working. The only thing that I can recommend, if you want to be used, it will, for your citrus production, you will get the benefit. Using the silicon, 100 part per million, you can use it after every 4 weeks. In the first year, you will not see the big difference other than after 6 months, you will see your leaves are more green as compared to the non-treated one. But in the second year, you will see the clear difference. You will have the less leaf drop, less fruit drop, and you have the uniform size fruit and more firmer fruit. And the other thing, it's not you're going to be apply one time. You have to be start applying continuously. We don't have any. We are working on that. That the question, like if you will pull the samples, you will send to the waters lab. It will let you know, okay, this percentage of nitrogen is in your leaves. You don't need to add, or you need to add. But so far for silicon, we don't have this recommendation. If you pull the samples, send to the lab, you will get the numbers. So what range will let you know it's a deficient or it's a sufficient. But so far, based on the results we have received, if your level of silicon is 2.75% to 3%, your plants are good. You are getting that's the minimum target you should have. Keep applying and you should achieve this level. But I think maybe within 1 to 2 more years, we will have the final recommendation. So what is the level we have to build in the leaves regarding the silicon? As I said, no phytotoxic effects, but still it's better to have test runs. Application rate depend crop to crop. It's accumulator or non-accumulator. And the most important, always select product with maximum percentage of water-soluble silicon. We are not looking for silicon dioxide. We are looking for monosalicylic acid. And more research on molecular side we are working with to understand the mechanism associated with that. And that's it. And any question? Thank you very much for having patience and listening me. Yes. 2.75% to 3%.
And is there a time of year that's optimal to pull those? Because I heard because I've been told by some testing facilities that it's funny and there's optimal windows to really get a proper reading on it.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's regarding the silicon. We don't know what's the best timing when we should have it, because its movement and translocation is totally different as compared to NPK and other nutrients. So normally, what we are doing quarterly, we are pulling the samples after every after every 3 months, and then compare that to make the curve. So that's so far we are doing. Yeah. So, but I'm sorry, I could not recommend any proper stage. Yeah, they are right. We don't know. It's different.
And what about frequency? Right now it's so cold. You stick to the program, but now we're not really.
It's once the cold is. Yeah, so the question is that if it's cold is coming and then we should apply. I don't think so. You will be getting the benefit when the cold is coming. But before coming the cold, you should.
You've been on program all year.
Yes.
Do you keep bi-weekly?
After every 4 weeks.
Okay. So
Yeah, exactly. First year it's more important.
I guess I may need to ask Dr. Diefenbach too, but how much of the leaf miner study have you done? Has it just been 1 year?
It's just 1 year. It's just a preliminary study, but the detailed study, she is here. She will help us.
He's generating data. We need money to really broadly test it.
Yes, that's.
It's gonna make sense.
So how did you, so in the work I've done, I measured percent damage, but you counted.
Usually count the number of lines, fresh lines,
Okay.
flush, and you also count the number of leaves in the flush.
Okay, yeah. So that's how I came up with the percentage too, but that's really interesting.
Sorry.
I'm glad, because they have an OMRI. Okay,
Yeah.
there's an OMRI label.
There's a lot of stuff. She said very well. We are trying to get the money, and this thing is once we have money, there's a lot of stuff, because it also produces some repellent, scanty metabolite, which also repel some plant enemies. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do. It's all about dollars.
But is it important to build up that silicon on the plant itself, or just leaf is enough to protect from
Yeah, that's basically that's the indicator we use, but mostly it is accumulating all over the plant parts. And on the root tissues, it's the main accumulating sites, but it's going all the plant tissues, plant cell walls. That's the indicator we use, that's the level we build up.
But if you look at some twigs on the leaf, you should be able to
Exactly, yeah.
find
Mm-hmm.
silicon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, there should be too. Yes.
When you're purchasing silicone products, there's a bunch of them. What should you look for when purchasing that product to make sure you have the right product?
Any product which having the monosalicylic acid and a higher percentage of monosalicylic acid. So that's we are looking for. Not silicon dioxide. You will, most of 99% says 40% silicon, 50% silicon, but if you will see the label in the bracket, they will say silicon dioxide. That's not, that's a sand. Plant cannot uptake it.
Say that active one more time, silicone.
Monosalicylic acid, that's a water soluble form. Yeah.
So have you found any kind of commercial product?
Yes, there are few commercial products which really they have only monosalicylic acid. That's so one has 10%, other 12%. So yeah. Especially in the last 3 to 4 years, really I have seen some really good products. But before that, I think they were just selling the silicon dioxide. They were just getting the calcium silicate, mine it, make a powder, or the suspended blend and sell it. But no, if you will Google it and you will see there are some really good products are available.
I think having those names out or,
Yeah.
would be good.
Okay, but because normally as a researcher we don't mention a name. Sometimes they will say maybe we are promoting them or specific them. So that's why we use the word. Okay, go and see only sometimes if some company person is sitting there and they will say Muhammad was promoting this X company, and so if I have only 1 and 2 products, and definitely I'm gonna be saying, okay, these are 2, and it's not my intention I'm getting any benefit from them, but I see these are the products. But sometimes people take it in a different way. So that's why we use, okay, grower can go and see, you will see that the product is available in the market. Yes, if you will see, sometimes grower sees something, send it to me, Muhammad, is it good? I will say, yes, that's good. Yeah, that's the percentage we are looking for.
They gave away the bottles of Solucil at the Cold Hardy Citrus meeting
Mm-hmm.
to growers. I was wondering if any growers have reported back on how they like it.
Yeah, so there is one grower, it's a Florida Georgia citrus, who is one of the progressive, our grower, and he is one of the largest packing house in this region. And before I start talking to him, he was already using the silicon, and he said, Muhammad, I'm convinced for this one. And thank God you started this trial, and I know we have an active project on his farm on silicon on the young trees and mature trees. Yeah, yes, we have seen as I said, if you will enter the group, you will see that, okay, these plants are different versus these plants, and someone can easily tell these are different than. They planted in the same time, same variety, same rootstock, same environment, the overall growth, canopy size, leaf greenness, it's different.
When you say 3% tissue samples, is that specifically for citrus, or is that?
That's a citrus, yes, because right now we are just citrus.
What about other crops when you study? I mean, is it 3% or is everything?
Until we have the recommendation, you can say that the 3% in general. So in the next crop, we are trying to work, that's strawberry and the blackberry. Yeah. The age of my program is just 2.5 years, so definitely we will have more. Anything else? Thank you very much. And any question, anything, you can email me, or if you have any question about the product, just send me the link and I will let you know. Thank you very much.
And with that, we'll move on to our last speaker for this session. Angelos is going to do some post-harvest talk with us.
All right. This is Angelos Alcides from UGA Tifton, and I'll be talking to you guys about possibilities of expanding satsuma harvest using ethylene. This work, we've been doing some work for the past couple of years with Jake Price, and I'll show you some work that has been done in California and Florida, and I'll be happy to take questions in the end. So when we talk about citrus, in general, we should know that the final color of each citrus variety depends on the composition of carotenoids on the peel. The peel color has very little to do with the fruit quality internally, and as well as its maturity or other quality attributes. Naturally, peel color changes when night temperatures fall below 55 degrees Fahrenheit. In our region, South Georgia, North Florida, especially early in the season, we often don't have lower temperatures below 55 degrees. So that's not adequate for peel color development, especially for early season citrus varieties. To do that, we can expose harvested fruit to ethylene, which is a plant hormone, and we can help them stimulate color changes in the packing house. Based on the bibliography, the range required is between 3 and 5 parts per million. We should keep in mind that the ethylene degreening that I'm talking about does not alter the internal quality of the fruit. I'm going to start with storage conditions for citrus in general. According to bibliography, 38 to 46 degrees for up to 3 months is the optimum temperature, and that depends on the cultivar, maturity, as well as the production area. Florida-grown cultivars and Georgia-grown cultivars, to an extent, can be kept a little lower, to 32 to 34 degrees. However, satsumas, this is for other types of citrus, should be kept at 41 to 47 Fahrenheit with a relative humidity of 90 to 95%. Now, about ethylene, as I mentioned, 3 to 5 ppm is what people have been using, but in general, a range between 1 and 10 works fine for 1 to 3 days in the range of temperatures between 68 all the way to 86 Fahrenheit. And this, as I mentioned, does not influence the internal quality, doesn't change soluble solids or acids, but can accelerate fungal incidence or deterioration as we're aging the fruit. Controlled atmospheres, they're not used commercially, so they have been used in the past, and usually they use a combination of 5 to 10% oxygen plus 0 to 5% CO2. So degreening, as I mentioned, is a process of exposing green citrus fruit to ethylene, with low levels of ethylene to enhance coloration. Some of the pre-harvest factors that affect degreening is the fruit maturity at harvest, the tree vigor, the climatic effects, as well as the cultural practices before harvest. Immature fruit can be also poorly colored, but as I mentioned, just because a fruit is not fully colored, it doesn't mean it's immature. In general, fruit from trees that are vigorously flushing are more difficult to degreen, and the 45 to 55 degree temperature is the natural way of degreening. And usually when you hit a low temperature, it's usually much faster, much easier afterwards. Talking about cultural practices, rootstock affects tree vigor and therefore may affect color break. Spray program, such as oil insecticide sprays, can delay color break, and gibberellin application does the same. Also, high nitrogen fertilization increases tree vigor, affecting color break the same way. Some more information about the degreening atmosphere. We need to have in mind ethylene, temperature levels, humidity, air circulation, ventilation, atmospheric composition. Here is a typical degreening room out in California with big bins of citrus stacked in. The room is filled, and then they close the door and they inject ethylene. They have an ethylene flowing in the room, and they have a good air circulation to distribute evenly the ethylene all over the place. How it works, as I mentioned, we are targeting to destroy the chlorophyll, which is a green pigment, and make the fruit develop carotenoids, which are the yellow, orange pigments of the skin of the fruit. Degreening will stimulate respiration, will stress the fruit, which is usually doesn't last for very long if you use low ethylene levels. It can also stimulate volatile production, and it's been shown back in the day that it stimulates more, for example, green, volatilizing green lemons versus yellow lemons. Degreening can enhance decay, especially in stem end rots, as well as anthracnose, so it has been shown to do that, and we should be careful using it. It can also induce button senescence. Literature has been suggesting not to go above 5 ppm. 3 to 5, as I said, is equally effective depending on the cultivar. Here, I'm going to show you some work that has been done back in the day, a few decades ago now, actually, that shows the effect of ethylene in the chlorophyll levels. We want low chlorophylls. We want the chlorophyll to go down in order for the fruit to turn from green to yellow-orange. So here you see the two treatments. Air is the red line, and ethylene treated is the black dotted line. As I mentioned, you want the chlorophyll levels to go down. So you see when you treat ethylene how the chlorophyll levels go down. On the other hand, carotenoids slightly increase here after a few days. I mentioned about button discoloration and senescence. You see, ethylene is known to do that. So if you overdo it, you end up sometimes losing these, or you have brown buttons. And that's usually a sign of an older fruit, so you need to be careful not to leave your fruit for too long into the degreening room. Humidity is very important. You want high humidity, since very low humidity levels will inhibit the degreening process. Also, when you remove humidity from the room, you end up removing water from the skin of the fruit initially, and that results in soft fruit, and also the fruit shrink. Other issues with low relative humidity are physical blemishes that become more apparent, also, as well as stem end and rind breakdown. So best results, 90 to 95% relative humidity in the degreening room. With degreening, with the artificial degreening with ethylene, blemishes are enhanced. So you want to make sure the quality of the fruit going in the degreening room is good, because if you have a small blemish and you degreen for 2-3 days, you end up often enhancing those blemishes that are probably not very apparent initially, but they become darker and they become much more apparent. So something to keep in mind. Temperature. The degreening temperature varies according to the growing region and the infrastructure of the area. In Florida, they use approximately at 84 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas in California, they use 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In general, it's been shown that the higher temperatures do inhibit carotenoid pigments, so you don't want to go very high. Anecdotally, I talked to a few people in Florida, and they told me that the temperature they used was selected partially because they could not cool down the room. It was too expensive. Florida can be warm at that time of year, so sometimes they just kept the temperature steady at 84. California is much cooler, so that's one of the reasons they told me. But it's been, for many decades, it's been working well for them, and they use 84 degrees. Air circulation. As I mentioned, it's very important to circulate the air so that the ethylene levels are steady throughout the room. You want to equalize the conditions of temperature, relative humidity, as well as ethylene, and you want to deliver the ethylene uniformly to every fruit in the degreening room. Also, when you have good air circulation, you remove unwanted products such as high CO2 or volatiles from the room. So this is some work again from California. They've been doing degreening for navel oranges and Valencias early in this or late in the season, as well as in general fruit from warm areas where the temperature doesn't go down below 55 degrees. These are the temperatures and relative humidity they use, and the CO2 is also important. You want to have a good air exchange, because if CO2 builds up, then you end up inhibiting the degreening process. Here's a very commercial, high-end degreening room. Again, fruit goes in, door comes down, and the degreening process starts. Here's some work with satsuma mandarins, where they use 2 ppm of ethylene, fairly low levels, and they're comparing the degreening process for 5 days in a row. So you can tell how the 2 ppm ethylene resulted in a very well-colored fruit with no green parts, whereas the no ethylene had green blemishes, green parts that are not good for consumer acceptance. And these fruit were harvested early in the season before the onset of low temperatures. So I mentioned that, so I'm going to skip it. And now I'm going to show you some work we've been doing in Georgia with fruit grown in the Valdosta area. And that's some preliminary studies we did for the past couple of years. So we're looking into the effect of ethylene and how it can help with the breakdown of chlorophyll and the promotion of yellow and orange pigments. We wanted to evaluate lower degreening temperature because 84 is too high for us. We need to warm the room a lot. And we looked at different ethylene concentrations. And in overall, we wanted to assess the degreening duration, how many days are enough and are needed to degreen fruit. So to do that, we used 4 popular cultivars from South Georgia: Brown Select, Miho, Owari, and Shan, all from the South Georgia region. And here are some pictures of them, how they looked. We had 2 treatments: control, which was using just a cold storage chamber, and treated, which was cold storage plus low, less than 1 ppm ethylene level in continuous flow. We used 70 degrees Fahrenheit, much lower, high relative humidity of 95%, and the duration was up to 4 days. And here's how our room looked. We had fruit sitting in baskets or in jars to measure respiration. We had a fan to circulate the air and make sure the ethylene goes everywhere. There was a pipe bringing the ethylene in, and we were monitoring the relative humidity and temperature levels constantly. We did some quality measurements. This is my student, Taiwo Owalanke, who did most of the work. We measured firmness, total soluble solids, acidity, color, weight loss, respiration, and we did some statistical analysis to confirm everything. So I'm going to talk about color, and it's important to look at A values. The A values move from green to red. So the higher the number, the more red color you have. Keep that in mind. And here are pictures of the actual fruit. You see the cultivars on the left: Miho, Shieshan, Owari, and Brown Select. And you have the control, which is just storage without ethylene, and then the ethylene-treated fruit from day 0 all the way to day 4. You see how there is color change, and the ethylene-treated fruit have more uniform coloration compared to the control one. I'm going to show you the data that proves that. Fruit color, as I mentioned, we show here the A over B 100 units, which show the green-red to blue-yellow ratio. And you can see, whereas in the first 3 days, for example, for this cultivar for Brown Select, there was no difference. At day 4, the treated fruit were significantly more orange. And that was the case for Miho as well, Owari, as well as for Shi. Ethylene, which is the one with orange, was always more orange compared to the control. For fruit color, overall ethylene treatment did accelerate color changes as indicated by decreased hue values over time. You can see that here in the end of the 4th day there was a slight decrease in the hue value of the treated fruit. Total soluble solids, that's something we were expecting. We do not expect any internal changes, so this is good news. There's no difference between the treated and untreated fruit. You don't improve or reduce the qualities internally. You only change the coloration of the fruit on the outside. Filtrable acidity, same thing. No significant differences comparing the treated and untreated fruit. Fruit firmness, on the other side, similarly, no significant differences, which is good. Fruit did not soften or harden when treated by ethylene, which is something we wanted to see. But on weight loss, ethylene did slightly increase the weight loss. Ethylene degreening is aging the fruit, so you end up losing a little bit more water. So as you can see here, the treated fruit did lose about 0.5% more water over 4 days. It's not huge, but there was some difference. So overall, in all 4 cultivars, you had a little bit of higher water loss, and that's something you want to keep in mind. Respiration rate, which is we measured respiration rate during treatment. We showed that we stressed the fruit, so especially for the Wari and Shi, we had an increased respiration rate for the ethylene treated fruit, whereas Miho didn't show any difference, and there were some differences in brown select. One thing that was very interesting to us, and I will go back to the picture, you see that even the fruit that are not treated, the control fruit, did change color, correct? So that was interesting because we're not expecting a drastic color change after harvest. So we went back and looked at the temperatures in the field. So we saw that the color temperature, the night temperatures fell below 54 degrees, below 55 degrees, which is a level in a number of instances the week before harvest. So we believe there's an effect of these low temperatures on the natural color change, which continued even after harvest. So we harvested, fruit was partially green, partially orange. It continued to change color on its own. So what we did this year is we harvested earlier before the fruit, the temperatures fell below 55, and we did some work with a few different treatments. But I don't have data to show you this year, but just to give you an idea of why we saw color change on its own in the control fruit. So wrapping up this presentation, the effects of ethylene in these satsumas from South Georgia, we didn't see any impact on fruit sweetness or tartness. We saw a slight acceleration of weight loss across all cultivars. We saw an increased respiration rate during the later storage days, and there was some variability by cultivar. There was no decay incidence in the short treatment time we had, no shriveling present, as well as no internal effect. Ethylene did accelerate the color change in all cultivars and resulted in a complete and uniform fruit coloration. Some work we've been doing this year and we're hoping to do these coming years. We are using cold shock as an alternative treatment. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be harvesting fruit and putting them in a low temperature for a number of hours or days, and then looking if we can do the same degreening process without the use of ethylene. It'll be cheaper, less chemicals, and also no need to build a special degreening room. We're looking to experiment with other cultivars, and we would like to do some work with quality perception of consumers. As I said, there's no internal change in sweetness or tartness, but we would like to see if people like the way fruit look after being degreened. We'd also like to do some work to investigate the effects of degreening during long-term storage and shelf life. So with that, I'd like to thank my team, the Vidalia Onion Research Lab in Tifton, who did most of the work, Jake Price, the Lowndes County UGA Extension Coordinator, and thank you all for being here. And these are some references from that we used to work to plan our work. And I think we'll have plenty of time for questions. Since I'm the last person that I finished early, I'll be happy to take any questions, comments, suggestions for the years to come. Yeah.
On your firmness comparison, did you hold the control at 70 degrees just like you did?
Yes.
Did you happen to do one where you held the control at, say, 40 degrees, 41 degrees?
No, we didn't, and I'm expecting it'll be firmer. If you were to hold it for the 41 degrees, 40 degrees, it'll be firmer. So yeah, if you put the fruit at 70 degrees, it'll get softer. So you end up aging the fruit by putting it at 71. Ethylene is also an added aging factor, so you know that's something you need. It's a trade-off. You improve the visual quality, you reduce a little bit the firmness and all that.
So do you think the ethylene treatment will decrease the long-term storageability of the fruit?
I mean, we're aging the fruit, so if I were to, yeah, I think it would probably shorten the shelf life. Now, how long of a shelf life we need is another question. You know, if it's like a day and you have like 3 months, it won't be noticeable. But if it's like a month shorter, that's not good. Any other questions? Excuse me. Comments. How many of you have the greening issues with fruit staying green in the on the tree when you want to harvest one? And you're all in South Georgia or Savannah? Yeah. So when do you see color change approximately? You know, naturally on the
Once our temperatures drop, we're the last to drop temperature.
Yeah, because
Right on the coast.
yeah. And you, what temperature? 55 or lower is what you see change?
I'd have to look back on my sheet, but I'm sure it's around the 50 range.
So if you were to have the greening options, how much earlier would you be able to harvest? Do you know, like how?
3 weeks.
3 weeks? Okay, same for all of you guys, 3 to 4 weeks?
When did you start harvesting?
Probably the last week of October.
We're about October 18th, October 20th, and we had some pretty cold nights, like 40s,
Mhm.
38, still wasn't seeing.
Still?
any drastic colors.
Yeah, I've been surprised. I'm the only one here in Chatham County in the trees. Even from here to Joe's place and then to Tiffin, it's amazing. I would think I was talking with somebody earlier. I would either flower before everybody or I would green or something would happen differently. But they're always ahead of me both ways, and I don't understand that.
Even for flowering?
Even for flower, they get flowers that start, will bud, but they'll pop before mine pop. And I'm right here at the coast. I mean, I'm 7 miles from there. And it's just odd to me,
That's interesting, yeah.
you know.
Maybe it gets warmer there faster because it's inland and there's no
It
breeze.
could be that I have ocean breeze here all
Yeah.
time. We're right on the ocean, right near water.
Yeah, it could be that, but
And
it's,
we don't ever have problems, shouldn't say this, with freezing. I've never had a problem with it,
yeah.
you know.
Whereas,
Y'all fight it 40 miles away.
yeah. So do you guys think it's a major issue that you have to wait 3-4 weeks? Do you lose a lot of like market value, prices go down, or?
This past year, when we actually started using some markets, we pulled the European thing, we're calling them emeralds, because that's what they do in Europe. It's called them emeralds to sell. And it's a cool thing, and people are like, oh, what's that? And you pop it open, it's an orange. So it sells.
Yeah,
You know, if I can get them to taste it, I got it.
right.
You know, but the whole thing of stopping them to see a green piece of fruit, I mean, that's I almost got them in the vote. So, I mean, we're trying any kind of, I hate to call it a gimmick, but any kind of thing to get them to stop and try it.
Yeah.
We've been looking at the gas. I mean, I thought about the cooling the fruit, try to simulate that, harvest it, throw it in the cooler, drop it 35 degrees or something for 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
And see if I can start it.
And then bring it back up to, you know, like 40 or 50 degrees.
Whatever, we
Same.
can't come with a number, because nobody's done it yet.
Yeah. So we've done some work. I don't have data to show this year. They're not processed yet, but hopefully this coming season we'll do some more, and I'll be happy to talk to you guys. If you want to hear and talk to me, I'm in Tifton. My information, I think, was in the beginning of the presentation. Reach out anytime.
Is dropping the temperature on the fruit like that a viable option?
You mean for,
Harvest it, put it in the cooler, drop it to a sub 40 temperature, like you said, and then pull it back out? Is that an option to get it to color up?
preliminary data, I haven't looked at the statistics. They show it does have an effect, but how long you should keep it, at what temperature, we don't know yet. It's just something that hasn't been done. So we're looking into, you know, like how many days, at what temperature, and at what form. Is it better to like do hydrocooling, put it in like cold water and keep it there for a few days, put it in a cooler and just wait? We don't know. So there's a lot of things to research, you know.
I had fruit in the cooler at 42 for 6 weeks and 90% humidity. Never changed color.
Did you bring it out of 42 or not? You kept it there and you left it out at ambient?
I brought it out at just house temperature 70 for 3 days,
Nothing? Nothing. Huh.
How long was it in the cooler?
6 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
Still tasted good, just firm, just never changed color.
Maybe you want to go lower.
That was early October, that was about October 18th, so it was still, 80% green. 70% green.
Yeah, ethylene would work, but it's expensive to like build.
Well, it's expensive and you have to have an educated person doing it. A cooler.
Yeah,
That's why we're forklift from one to cooler.
exactly. It's easy. Just stick it in, put the temperature, go home.
Pull it
But
out 3 days. and all that.
yeah, exactly. That's why we're looking into alternatives, because ethylene would require infrastructure, training, and all that.
I can see with the cold water might help with dehydration,
Yeah.
because you keep it moist versus in the cooler, you're dehydrated.
Yeah. We did some work with cold water, so I'll be happy to share results. I think Jake does a meeting every summer in Valdosta, so if I'm invited, I'll make sure I have data from that trial. Oh, okay. In Valdosta, it's in February? Oh.
Citrus Growers Association.
Oh, do we have presentations too or not? I didn't know about that.
You get that memo later.
Okay, good to know.
Check your email.
I have a lot from the break. I was traveling, got sick, so I have excuses. Anyways, any other questions, guys?
Well, I have a question for y'all. When you're having to wait for the color development, do y'all start seeing the fruit get puffy? Because I know I've talked with a few growers that have. If it was a regional thing or if it's an everybody problem?
I think we've determined that puffy is more on immature trees. We still get puffy, but I mean, some people like puffy. We get people that come out and think they get the bigger bang for the buck.
Right, you pickers are funny.
Yeah,
Give me my money, you can get any piece you want, I really don't care.
Have you seen the difference between the interior fruit and the exterior fruit?
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah,
But it seems to be about 4 or 5 years old is when they change.
yes,
You
sir.
have less after about 5 years old. The deer like them all, but
No.
All right. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank y'all for attending, and I guess that's the end of our citrus education section. So go and join the conference.